Hey guys, welcome back. So, for this week's topic on writing, we're going to talk about getting started with a long form or piece of writing. Let's just say fiction, a story. We're not going to focus on like nonfiction and all that. So, how do you go about deciding what this piece, this long story, so how do you decide what you're going to put into this story that's going to be many pages, many chapters, book length, story length, a long tale? And so there's a kind of different thoughts on that. You could outline. I do some outlining. You could write by the seat of your pants. A lot of people like to do that. I do some of that as well. You could do a hybrid of both like I do. The point is you're going to find your own way. And so in order to find your way, what works best for you? Outlining, just writing, letting the story unfold, letting the story take you away, surprise you. You got to kind of dream a little, daydream a little on your story. You need it to process in your mind. That can take a while. It's not going to be an immediate thing. I was ready to start a piece, a fiction at this point, a long story, a journey that I want to take myself and my readers on. I would first start with my idea, my inspiration, the whatever it is that I want to get out of myself and onto paper or typed into my laptop. What is it? And then once I know what it is, then I can start kind of planning on that, kind of gathering information. I may not know everything in the beginning. And for me, the way I like to write a long story is that I usually know the beginning and I know the end. I know basically the first page and I know the last page. So I need to discover everything in between. And that could come in waves. That could come, you might get one scene that comes at a time. And so that's going to lead us into our next video that we'll talk about maybe, I don't know, a few days, week from now, is how to get yourself in a state of active reception where you are readily able to receive ideas, inspiration, thoughts, visions, however you gather your story. It's going to be different for everyone. I see a lot. I daydream a lot. So I can daydream scenes of the story and they will come to me that way. But it's different for everybody. So whatever, but that's the next video. So for this video, we're just talking about outlining and or discovery. And you may not know right now if this is your first time writing a really long piece of fiction. You may need to play around with it, but I do think having a little bit of a guide or outline is not a bad thing. And for me, that means I know the beginning, I know the end. And then all that middle stuff, that is stuff that is just going to come to me over the many months, year, whatever, of creating the story. Now, for short things, poetry, flash fiction, short story, I would do similarly. But for those other, smaller pieces of writing, you can just kind of wing it. So even if you know where your story is going to start, that doesn't mean when you're completely done with your novel, with your work of fiction, with your story, that is where the story will begin. Because so many things are going to be revealed to you as you create the story. The beginning may change. I find that the ending stays more consistent than the beginning. But if you do have an idea of where your beginning is, use that. Use the power of that by starting your story. You've got an excellent gateway into writing the story. Many hours later, as you can see, by what is outside my window, complete darkness. It's going to be a super cold night, like 18 degrees. No better time to write than in the winter, right? So, what I want to conclude with is, in your mind's eye, kind of have a target. Like, what is your target? What is the thesis? What is the one encapsulating theme of your whole novel? Like, what do you want? What do you want the reader to take away from reading your story? So if you have that kind of bullseye in your mind as you go into story, whether you are writing by the seat of your pants or you have an outline, it gives you direction. It gives you focus, and I think it's just recommended. It gives you a sense of direction. And, there's one author who said it. Was it? I'm going to find the quote. I'm going to put it up here on the screen. Basically, he is wandering through the dark with a flashlight, trying to find the story, trying to find the thread, trying to find what comes next. So if you like to do that, that's great. If you'd rather take some time to kind of get the story settled in your mind with maybe an outline, I think that is beneficial. That's kind of my thought. Doesn't work for everyone. Some people do best just sitting down and going with no direction at all. So those are just some thoughts for you to keep in mind. And I think instead of doing video 2 on what we talked about earlier, we're going to talk about this book. This, if you want to outline, I highly recommend this book. It's probably in a second edition by now, but I found it so helpful. So I think I'm going to go through this book, look at my old notes, make some new notes. We're going to talk about it in the next video. But before I do that, I have got to get this book read for my book club. So if you have read this book, maybe I will have a video on this. Maybe you can comment on it. Let me know. Maybe it'll be so inspiring. I'll do a video just on this book and what I thought about it. I have read this author many, many times, and I really enjoy her books, especially The Nightingale. Very good. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.